Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Micheaux Mission presents Geordi LaForge and the Curious Case of Leah Brahms, presented here live at the IDIC Podcast Festival, presented by Women at Warp. IDIC, I know I'm preaching to the choir, is the infinite diversity in infinite combinations podcast festival that the illustrious Women at Warp podcast have put together to bring podcasts of Star Trek variety and different varieties together to talk about their favorite subject. My name is Len of the Micheaux Mission, 2 men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. And I am sitting here with my partner right there.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
And we are very, very, very proud to come on and be a part of this podcast festival. Our podcast talks about black films. We review a black film every single week. But at the start of each of our review, we get into a conversation about a whole lot of stuff that's happening in the world of entertainment, as well as geek culture, because we are huge geeks, as you can tell by our backgrounds at each other's homes. And not only are we huge geeks, we are immense Star Trek fans. We are
absolutely
fans. Real quick, Vincent, give everyone out there who is watching us and taking time to be a part of this festival via YouTube as well as on Facebook, give them the quick 30-second elevator pitch on your history with Star Trek.
My history with Star Trek actually began when I was a child, like many of us. I always say that I came into Star Trek, maybe not backwards, but sideways, because my initial memories are the cartoon.
Oh, that's right. I remember you said that. Yeah.
Right. The original Star Trek cartoon, which then prompted me to go into reruns of the original series. And we are old enough that we came into Star Trek during that period between the original series ending and Star Trek the Motion Picture.
Right.
So
right.
I have a lot of fondness for that kind of fallow period where there was a lot of fan work and fanzines and DIY stuff and just that initial Star Trek and Trekker cult, the conventions were kind of small and going and since then, as you said, we're huge Star Trek fans and Trekkers and love it. Just love the culture. And yourself?
I came into Star Trek back in syndication, and it was around the time where like my biggest hero has always been Batman first and foremost. That's why it says I'm the Bat Tribble of Black Tribble's fame. But when I was growing up in syndication on the UHF channels here in Philadelphia, I had my 2 Jims that I would watch. I would watch Jim West of the Wild Wild West, because and he was so cool because he was like a secret agent in the Wild Wild West, had guns and knives hidden every place. And then I would watch James Kirk of Star Trek. And he was cool because he was flipping and doing the Kirk foo on people, and he was getting the color women of all shapes and sizes and different colors and stuff. And Star Trek just became my jam, and it became really my introduction into science fiction. Even though I was reading comic books were like, they were superhero. I didn't see them as science fiction. Science fiction to me equaled Star Trek.
Right.
And as I grew, not only did the aesthetic of Star Trek equal science fiction to me, but the philosophy of Star Trek equaled science fiction to me. The thinking of what we could be in the future, and realizing that the future was not just beholden for people of one race or color or species. You know.
Right.
Especially once you get to the cartoon, once the bridge it's not like a humanoid Spock there, but there's like
exactly
all different types of aliens running the ship.
Right.
So that's what Star Trek equaled science fiction to me, and in many ways, it still kind of equals science fiction to me. So,
absolutely.
but we are here to talk to you, ladies and gentlemen, specifically about one aspect of the lore of Star Trek, and that is Lieutenant Commander Geordi LaForge and the curious case of Leah Brahms. And my partner Vincent Williams, when we found out we were going to be part of IDIC, said, hold up. I know what we're doing. I know what we're talking about. This is in my bag. I'm ready. This is what I've been wanting to talk about. So Vince, take it away, bruh. Take us where you want us to go.
Well, I think just a little background. As you say, we're the Micheaux Mission, and we concentrate on Black films. But in a lot of ways, the films are a prism for us to discuss that intersection between race and pop culture. Mm-hmm. And as you said, a lot of times we focus on the geek culture aspect of pop culture. And Geordi LaForge, obviously, is a very important topic.
Right.
When you're talking about pop culture, when you're talking about race, when you're talking about geek culture, certainly Blackness in Star Trek has always been a part of the conversation, back to, of course, Nichelle Nichols' iconic Lieutenant Uhura.
Mm-hmm.
But Geordi LaForge has always, you know what, I'm not going to even say always, because I think the older I get, the more I appreciate Geordi LaForge, almost because he is so kind of straight and kind of straight arrow.
Yeah.
You know, I think of the initial bridge crew from The Next Generation, all of them had their kind of hooks. And besides his blindness and the visor, Geordi was just a good guy.
Right.
He was a good guy. He and Data had a friendship. I always talk about the thing about the Enterprise is, as the flagship, the bridge crew of the Enterprise is by definition the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, these are the valedictorians. These are the captains of the football team. Like, these are the best of the best.
Mm.
And Geordi very much exemplifies, like, you can tell he got straight A's. He is, you know, probably a blurred, good guy. And this situation with Leah Brahms always stuck out to me because there was this ickiness to it. Just a little background. Leah Brahms appears in 2 episodes, or rather, Leah Brahms appears in 1 episode,
right?
But her image appears in the first episode. She is in the 6th episode of the 3rd season, Booby Trap, which comes out in October of 1989. And there is a situation on the Enterprise. The Enterprise is caught in this sort of almost gravity well or tractor beam with another ship. There's an engineering issue. Geordi has to figure out how to get out of it, and he ends up pulling up the hologram of the engineer or the designer of the warp drive, who is Dr. Leah Brahms. Right. And in the midst of pulling up the hologram, they basically develop a friendship, dare I say, the spark of a relationship. First, I had forgotten that the episode is framed around Geordi not doing that well in the romantic arena.
It leads off with that.
Right. The episode, the cold open is a date ending badly, and a woman telling Geordi basically, I like you, but I don't like you like that.
Friend zoned him.
Again, always uncomfortable with that term, but that is basically what, when we're talking about this arena, you know, sort of the culture of the nice guy, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is very much, and I think LeVar Burton does a great job in a few seconds getting across that this is something that Geordi has heard before.
Right.
So when you frame it like that, this whole notion of Leah Brahms' hologram, and Geordi kind of getting this spark of romance with her makes sense. To the credit of the episode, I think for the most part they really are addressing the issue with the warp drive. Like the vast majority of the conversation in Booby Trap between this hologram and Geordi is about solving this problem.
Mm-hmm.
But there are moments, like there's a moment where the hologram is trying, because first the hologram is robotic, basically just repeating answers. But then Geordi says, download personal, if there's some personal logs or, public speaking engagements, this, that, and the other. Can you amalgamate her personality?
Right. And
it downloads her personality, and the computer says basically this is what her personality is. I think it's like a 9.3% error, percentage of error between what she's like in this hologram. And it gets a little icky because the hologram gives him a shoulder massage and
that's where it crossed the line with me. I'm like, you give her the personality, okay, but you're giving her the personality from public speaking. Like that,
right.
That doesn't indicate that this person would walk up and give essentially a stranger a shoulder massage,
Right. Right. And then when the episode ends and Geordi, the problem is solved. So now no longer any need for this simulation on the holodeck. And Geordi says to the hologram, I'm going to miss you. And then the hologram starts talking about, I'll always be here with you. And whenever you look in the engine, you'll see me. And they kiss.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the end of the episode. And as an episode, it is like,
and if you
think not really that cool,
we're reading a little bit into this, there is also the scene about halfway through the episode where Picard checking on Geordi's progress on, what's happening with, straightening out this problem, because we got a ticking clock going on here, Mr. LaForge, walks in and sees Geordi with the hologram, and smartly the script just gives Picard just standing there, just taking it in, just like, okay.
Right.
Because it's you, Geordi, I'm going to trust that this needs to be happening, but what the hell is happening?
Right. It's a beat, but again, it's another testament to the caliber of acting. You can see on Patrick Stewart's face where Picard is basically kind of like, is this something I should address right now? Is this something I just have to let slide? Because as you said, we're in the midst of this crisis.
Right.
Because the other part, at some point they have to save power, and to save power, anything that doesn't have to do with life support gets turned off, including this simulation. And then Geordi runs to Captain Picard and is like, I need to override this, and it is.
To be fair, he didn't go running to Captain Picard and be like, yo, I need my hologram back. He didn't say that. He let the hologram go, and there's a beat, and you kind of miss it when you're like streaming it, so you don't get the commercial break that tells you this is actually like sometime later when he actually says, but the script tells you that they've, everything is depowered, like all the lights are down and everything like that. And Picard is checking on him, and it's like, hey, how's it going? And it's then Geordi says, well, it's going a little slow because you shut down my hologram. If I can get my hologram back.
And if I had my hologram lady,
maybe we can figure it out.
Right.
Which always was strange to me, even watching this the first time out, because if Geordi's on the bridge, maybe that makes sense. But Geordi is down in engineering.
Right.
Engineering is its own crew, which you think, okay, I don't have the hologram. Let me fill in a couple of my other my top guys here in engineering about which way I was going. And we could probably suss out exactly where we need to go.
Again, this is the engineering crew on the Enterprise. These are the best of the best.
Exactly. So
these are the best of the best.
So you would think that, at least two of them can match what the hologram of Leah Brahms is giving them.
Well,
but they're not giving them back rubs.
Right. And again, as you said, Picard susses it out and says, okay, well, I'm give you a little rope, but again, we're on the clock. And that's the end of the episode. And again, I think as an episode, it's weird. It's one of those weird episodes. And I have to say, when you and I were talking about initially, something that I want to make sure that we underline. This is the third season.
Yes.
So this isn't one of those weirdo episodes from the first season where you can tell they're just kind of figuring it out. Like here's the first weekly Star Trek show since the 60s.
Right.
So we're, like that first season is real wonky. This is the third season.
Right, when they really starting to click. Yes.
I mean, the third season ends with the Borg. Like the fourth season, it's that wonderful season finale with Locutus of Borg. So this is primo Next Generation. Speaking of that next season, there's a follow-up.
Yes.
Next season, March 11th, 16th episode of the season, Galaxy's Child.
Yes.
Where now the real Leah Brahms shows up. There's, they're letting basically civilians come on the ship. Leah Brahms comes on to inspect the engine. And now Geordi is meeting her for the first time.
Right.
And this is when it really delves into, it gets a little toxic. I know that's a word we overuse, but it's toxic, it's invasive, and it is really corrosive in a way that you don't think about Geordi LaForge, where Geordi is basically flirting with Leah Brahms. Geordi is trying to make romantic overtures, like he says in the episode. He just maybe they can be friends and so on and so forth. But the text is very clear that he's making romantic overtures, and these overtures are informed by the information he's gotten previously with the hologram. Like he knows about the way she talks about her personal interactions with her engineering career as opposed to people. There's this really, really icky moment where he invites Leah Brahms back to his quarters for some Italian food, and he knows her favorite dish because he downloaded the information into the hologram the season before. And Leah Brahms says, "Oh, that's my favorite dish." And he all but winks at the camera.
Yes.
Like, haha, I'm ready to do this.
Right.
And I think it's important to note that there are several moments throughout the episode where Leah Brahms basically says, "How do you know this about me?" Or "Why is this such a coincidence?" And Geordi has the opportunity to say what has happened the previous year with the hologram. And it is only when he is caught that he, basically lays it all out. Leah Brahms ends up in the holodeck with the program. There's a wonderful moment where you see the real Leah Brahms with the hologram from the year previously. Another really icky comment that Geordi makes. At one point, he says to her, "I thought your hair would be different."
Mm-hmm.
because apparently in the recordings that they used to make the hologram, her hair is up in a bun.
Right.
And when she actually shows up, her hair is down. So there's that part of it.
And real quick, just to cut you off, don't mean to cut you off, but you paint a different picture when you say that Geordi is caught. Geordi's not caught, because that implies that he got caught lying about something or figured out. She finds out. That's different. That is different, because one of these nebulous engineering's best of the best people, basically tells us, oh yeah, Captain Geordi was using an actual holodeck model of your work last year to help him out to get us out of some problems. Oh, that sounds cool, Leah says. You mind if I see that? Sure, why not? Because I wasn't there, so I'm assuming it was very innocent. So here,
right.
I'll give you the codes. Go check it out. And that's when she goes and finds out that not only did he create this, this hologram of her, but how the hologram was expressing themselves. And that is different than him getting caught, because now, like you said, he had multiple opportunities to present this information in some form of fashion to her, but he knows how icky it is because he lies and says, oh, right. I'm following your tapes. I've studied you. You didn't study her. You didn't even know about her till you ran into that problem in booby traps, right? So you didn't even know about her. And like I mentioned earlier before we started recording, on any other show, if this was, Law and Order, Star Trek, when he says, I'll make food jelly for you, you'd have heard the doom doom, because that's
right.
when oh man, this is when Jerry Orbach's going to be standing over the corpse of Leah Brahms, talking
right.
about she had 1 too many jellies. Like, so
right.
He already knows that he should not be going there. Picard knows he should not be going there. Knows that this stuff is not cool. And in any other world, and it's not just looking at this through 21st century eyes. In any other place, that is just not cool to do that. If that episode, Booby Trap, is just a one-off, it's icky. But you kind of just slide it to the left. Like I see somebody, Tamia, in the chats was mentioning earlier that they were just trying to figure out Geordi. That's them trying to figure out Geordi.
Sure.
But now they double down on this, right?
Right. Yeah. And the great thing about the episode is that they actually give Leah Brahms an opportunity to articulate how invasive this is.
Mm-hmm.
That he has done this, and the actress Susan Gibney,
yes,
who plays Leah Brahms, does a great job. It's so invasive,
mm-hmm.
and everything that we would talk about in 2020. Like, I don't think we necessarily had the language then, but certainly I think she does a great job articulating it at that moment. But then the script almost pulls up and lets him off the hook. I have to say, giving credit where credit is due, I did not find a lot written about Leah Brahms in this episode, but I have to say that in 2018 on ladyscience.com,
mm-hmm.
Robert Davis wrote this really, really great article about this called Warped Fantasies, Dr. Leah Brahms and the Illusion of Consent.
Right.
Because that's really what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And the script has Geordi, like, it's almost laughable when she says, she says to Geordi, is this the only program that you have me in? Like, are there other programs that you have for, and the subtext is barely subtext.
Right.
Which was always there with the holodeck, Like, what else are you doing with my image?
Mm-hmm.
And I love how outraged Geordi gets. Like, how dare you catch me doing this thing and put that within the context of how I've been acting with you and follow it to its logical conclusion.
Right. Who do you think you are?
Right. Who do you think you are judging me by my actions?
It's very true, though. I felt the same way. I felt the same way because when he does that and the script allows him to walk off like in a harumph, like I'm like, no, dog, you don't get to harumph off this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
right.
Because what I don't like about this episode, I want to say I felt like this before, but I definitely felt about it. I want to say I felt like this when I originally saw it, but I definitely felt this way in subsequent viewings. Is that I don't feel Geordi ever apologizes for what he did. There is a difference between having a conversation and talking about what you did and actually apologizing for it and recognizing that there was wrongness in what I did. Let's be frank. The character of Geordi LaForge, we don't in any way believe that he was, malicious in intent, but that doesn't mean that what you did was not something that is worthy to be to offer an apology and to actually feel sorrow for what you did. And the fact that this show leaves them in a point where they are assumed to be friends, and if we're to believe Star Trek, lore, actually,
we'll get to that.
I mean, that just rang very hollow and very untrue to me.
Well, it's they set up this really kind of icky false equivalent where she ends up apologizing for being, quote unquote brusque. Yeah. Like he says, yeah, I was amazingly invasive. I was amazingly manipulative. I used your image in this way. Mm-hmm. My bad. And she's like, yeah, I treated you like a dude that I didn't know in a professional setting. Which is all she really does. Like, she's there to work.
Right. And to be fair, while she even admits that because of the work that was done on her work cords, her work, she did come on there with misconceptions or prepared to be angry at somebody, like messing around with your stuff. And that's how any, engineer or quote unquote artist feels about their stuff. Like, how many times you write something and then the editor kind of pulls it apart. Like, dude, how you gonna pull my stuff apart? Right. So you feel like that. But what you get from the script and from the episode is that she begins to cool because she realizes that the work that was done, as he points out, was done because now your core is in real world situations. So it causes for some changes that that has to be done. And she appreciates that. And you can see her dialing back on it. Right.
Well, again, because this is a professional exchange. Like, this has nothing to do with you having sexy dinner, playing the classical guitar.
Right. And
we are work colleagues. But just sort of to transition out of the episodes themselves, something that you said about viewing this material with 21st century eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And while certainly this type of behavior was wrong in 1989, in 1991, I think it is fair to say that our language perhaps has caught up with how we evaluate these types of actions. And if this had ended in 1991, I think you and I can sit here for a half hour and say, wow, that was really icky. We can call it a misstep with Geordi's characterization. Although, arguably, I kind of like that kind of grit on Geordi. Like, I like the fact that he's not just this perfect knight. Like, I like that.
It's a little hardening the edge for him.
Right. Yeah. It's like a little Deep Space Nining of him.
That's a good point.
I like that. But I think what bugged me out, just getting ready for this episode,
here we go,
is how much Leah Brahms and this plot has survived. You mentioned she's referenced in All Good Things.
Yes. The
final episode where they have the flash forward and Geordi mentions being married to Leah. And if you look at the notes for the script, this was absolutely supposed to be a direct reference to Leah Brahms and Geordi being married in the future.
Right. And the only reason that it doesn't play out implicitly is because the actress Susan Gibney was not available.
Much like in Star Trek Nemesis, apparently at Riker's and Troy's wedding, where Geordi comes with Guinan, they actually wanted him to come with Leah Brahms. So there's no scrutiny of this plot point that far. But as of 2019, there's a Star Trek novel, Collateral Damage, that has this love affair between Geordi and Leah Brahms. And there's no sense of, maybe this is something that we should leave alone. Like, I really was flabbergasted that there's still, it's kind of like finding out that Code of Honor kept going.
Right.
Like, find out they're still writing novels about the space African planet.
Yeah, which they smartly left that one alone.
Look, we're never going to talk about that again.
Nope.
But Leah Brahms and her sort of enduring presence, I think, says two things. First and foremost, and LeVar Burton talked about this, I think it is criminal how little his character was actually developed, so that you would have character beats and romantic interests that you could kind of hang something on. In a lot of ways, this Leah Brahms thing is the great Geordi characterization.
Right.
Second, I think it speaks to how we don't scrutinize these types of issues. And this is something that, as time goes on, I think becomes more and more relevant. This concept of how technology complicates questions of consent, questions of the ownership of your image. Like, we talk about deep stakes and revenge porn and all of this where, well, hey, I didn't do it to you. I just used your image.
Right.
And this is very much an example of it. The funny thing is, in my mind, the most important science fiction property of the past 50 years, Black Mirror, talks about this a lot.
Yes, it does.
And appropriately enough, the Star Trek episode, the USS Callister, is kind of about this. Where you take someone's image, you take someone's, and through technology, I create a facsimile.
Right.
And what are the ethics of what I do with this facsimile of you? So that as much as if I'm inclined to give Star Trek a pass for those episodes in 89 and 91, I am completely confused by how much, again, Leah Brahms is still a thing.
The past gets revoked. You're right. Because like LeVar Burton points out, it's criminal how little his character is developed so that he can't have another love interest. He can't have like some other friends, like he can't be a fully fleshed character. I think that, to be fair, another reason why the legend does live on is because, one, with the fading of memory, people just remember that, oh, Geordi had a thing with Leah Brahms. Maybe he have a thing in the future as well. But also, to be fair, it does speak to the performance and the chemistry, I have to be honest, between LeVar Burton and Susan Gibney. I think they both, they actually did play off one another very well, despite what the story is telling them to do, right? And I thought she did create a memorable character. Every once in a while, you do get someone who embodies a character in one of these properties, such as Star Trek, and it embodies it so fully that you can't see by anybody else in there. And if you don't want to see anybody else in there. And shout outs to Susan Gibney that she did pull that off. And people maybe wanting to see her return to the fold or to the universe of Star Trek as it were, tend to keep her name out there. But because she deals with the warp drive, you can keep her name out there just like that, right? Like Brahms can be brought in as just a warp drive professional or expert. She doesn't have to be involved with Geordi, but you just don't have any place else to go with Geordi. And that, to a degree, does speak to, I think, a failing of Star Trek as a whole in regards to, and I hate to go there, but with their development of some of their black characters before Deep Space Nine, because this is emblematic of what Next Generation did. Next Generation, because let's face it, I've always felt that as much as everybody heralds the TOS and the crew of TOS was not an ensemble. The shows were not an ensemble. The movies were not an ensemble. And even Next Generation doesn't become an ensemble truly until about that third, fourth season, right? Mm-hmm. But towards the end, even that ensemble kind of starts pulling apart, and it basically is a Picard show, a Worf show, a Data show, and then every once in a while you got to throw a couple of shows to Riker, and that leaves one or two to Troy or the Doctor. And Geordi is just a cool dude running in and out of the story.
Right. And to your point about Susan Gibney, I think it's, just historically, Star Trek has tried to use her again and again and again. She shows up on this couple of episodes of Deep Space Nine as a different character. She was in the running to be 7 of 9. Most famously, she was one of the finalists to be Janeway.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So, to your point, and to start, I do think you're right that Star Trek really liked her, and you're right. Like, she's really good in the role, and it's a good role. I actually think, again, it's a great plot. I just think they completely misjudge what the plot is saying.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I did come away with watching these 2 episodes again, I had an appreciation, but also a similar sadness in a bit about Ensign Rhaegar, because Ensign Rhaegar is the helmsman on the bridge, right? In the first, in like the first episode, Booby Trap, and I'm pretty sure, like, I didn't watch the whole season. I'm pretty sure that's not her first appearance, but I want to say it's probably one of her first appearances, and like she's like Ensign Rhaegar, her hair is all up in like a little bun, and they're not really talking to her, they're kind of like talking around her, and I'm like, all right, that's kind of cool, but oh, wait a minute, yeah, no, she's not in Booby Trap. Forgive me, I'm wrong. She's not in Booby Trap. Because this is where I want to go. You talking about the Enterprise crew is the best of the best, but in Booby Trap, the helmsman is Wesley Crusher. It's young. And I'm like, and they're at this point where they're stuck and they have to like fly through this incredible field and stuff like that. That's the time where whoever the best of the best, I don't care if they're not on duty, like, dog, we need you on the bridge right now. Why does Picard have to give Geordi Crusher the tap and be like, yo, no, I'll take this young bull. Now, it's a cool moment when Picard flies it, but why is he doing it? Like, there's got to be already a better dude aboard than Crusher at that moment.
Right.
Back to my Ensign Rhaegar. Ensign Rhaegar is actually in Galaxy's Child, which is 4th season, and her hair is all pent up, and they're talking around her and stuff like that. And it's like it's cool, and it's cool, and she's a sister, and it's cool to see her on there doing her thing. But then, because you asked me to watch, and I think you just did this just to bug out, to watch the episode with the Relic, where Scotty comes back.
Yes, with Scotty, right?
Which is season 6, right?
Yeah.
So there's 2 more seasons over. It's the next to the last season. And right there, rocking out on the bridge, now hair out, bam, got cast a couple of checks, Star Trek chips or however they get paid. It's Ensign Rhaegar, still an ensign, and still everybody talking around her. And I'm like, yo, like, y'all can't give us, like, she can't have a line. I felt like, especially, we've been dipped in like Uhura, and we watched like the great documentary on her. I think it's a woman on a mission on Uhura, and her work with NASA, and talking about her frustrations about always just talking about hailing frequencies open, Captain. And I felt like Rhaegar, like basically just pushing the same buttons, like Ward 12, Captain. Yes. Ward 14. No, we can't go there, like the same thing. Like couldn't she get like another bit or something? You know what I mean? Like
now you just talking about how Geordi couldn't get a storyline.
I know. So they're going to get right. Yeah, because think how Geordi would have been mad if Rhaegar got a storyline. Good point. But I just felt that. I felt that in my bones. I'm sorry. Oh, man.
We had an echo.
Oh, I got an echo? I'm sorry. I don't feel an echo.
No, I think I had the echo.
Oh, okay.
Well, now I don't hear it.
Tamia Harper is in the chat saying that she is so with me. Thank you, Tamia. Shout out to everybody that's watching us on Facebook and YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Aaron Harvey says that I believe he's talking to about Ensign Rhaegar, got a lot more to do and more lines in the animated series. Oh no, I think he's talking about Uhura got more lines in the I don't know. Somebody got more lines in the animated series. And I don't know if Uhura maybe got more lines, but she didn't get too many more lines because sometimes she wasn't even there. So I can't even go there. But shout out to everybody who is watching us on YouTube and on Facebook. It's already 2:00. We've only got 15 more minutes. Is there anything else that you wanted to really touch on? And maybe we can open it up to if anybody has any questions or comments that they want to share. But anything else you want to touch on real quick, Vince?
No. That's like I said, I think my learning experience was that Leah Brahms was still a thing. Like I really thought this was a code of honor thing. Like I don't really keep up with the novels like that. So it did bug me out that she's still showing up.
Right. Oh, so Sabrina Wood mentions in regards to relics that it is Ensign Rhaegar who flies them out of the Dyson sphere. Well, yeah. See, Picard ain't tap her. Picard tap Crusher, but he was only tap. By then, she had been flying the ship for like 3 seasons. If he had given her the tap, Rhaegar should have like, I got this, yo, man. Yo, sit down. I got this. So yeah. You know what? As a matter of fact, Vince, remember years ago we did our ultimate Star Trek crew. You know I was gonna go there.
Yes, I do remember.
Ultimate Star Trek crew. I want to change. My helmsman now is going to be Ensign Rhaegar, and I'm going to give her.
Now you're helmsman. All right, there you go.
She's my helmsman. She was boss with it. Yeah, most definitely. Oh, I don't know though. I don't know. We'll talk about it. We're talking
That's
about
a whole different thing.
we're gonna do that over. We're gonna do that over.
Yeah.
We're gonna do that
All
over.
right.
I got another person on my god. Oh, we could go forever. So this is what happens on the Micheaux Mission, ladies and gentlemen. We're supposed to review movies, but then we get trekking, and
I think we stayed on task very well today.
well, yes,
Very well.
because this was all one topic. It was finally one topic.
Right.
Oh man. Okay. Oh, Susan Thyme, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize. Says that I still adore Geordi, my favorite TNG character, but part of that is holding him accountable for his missteps, and Leah Brahms was a misstep.
Absolutely.
Right, but to your point, Vince, that's why you don't like the doubling down on her still being involved with him,
right,
in Star Trek lore. You know,
right.
you would,
and again, the implication, if he ends up with her, is that he nice guyed her into being with him, which I think is almost cultural malpractice.
Right.
In 2020, like we cannot support that at all.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm with you.
So,
all right. Well,
all right.
This is fun. I don't know.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, I think we're technically supposed to go to 2:15. I don't know. I don't know if we're able to shut it early. I don't see any questions in the chat for us, Vince. But if you like what you're hearing from us two old guys, then I ask you, feel free to check us out. The Micheaux Mission, MicheauxMission.com. 2 Men, 1 podcast. Every black film ever made. We review a different black film every single week. And hey, Vince, this week is really cool because this week our very special guest, the producer Mark Bernardin, a producer on Star Trek Picard. He will be joining us to talk about Picard, also talk about a really cool new comic book series that he's putting out, Adora, as well as sit with us to review the Spike Lee joint starring Denzel Washington, Inside Man. So that promises to be a lot of fun. You can check us out. The podcast will be available on Wednesday, but we'll also be streaming on YouTube and Facebook on Tuesday evening at 7 p.m. You can check out the Micheaux Mission on all your social medias and holla at us.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Okay. Question. Did Geordi ever recover in your guys' eyes, in your eyes?
Oh, I would say so. I would say so. You know, I think one of the things that I liked about Geordi, and part of the reason I wanted to fold relics into the conversation, like that exchange between he and Scotty, where it's a problem that needs to be solved, and Geordi is like, it's going to take 20 minutes, an hour, and Scotty says, how long did you tell the captain it was going to take? And Geordi says, an hour, because that's how long it's going to take. And it's that wonderful reference to Scotty being a miracle worker. And he says, you never tell a captain how long it's actually going to take.
Right.
Like you basically pad it so that you get to be a miracle worker. But I thought that was such a great Geordi character beat. Like he is very much by the book, straight ahead, just generally a good guy. And, talking about some of the comments, and when you read about Geordi and the way they either neuter black male sexuality or they other it. While I think all of that is true, I think there is space for a character like Geordi, who is just sort of, again, straight ahead, which is why these episodes always stuck out so much to me.
Right.
So, I love Geordi. Everybody loves Geordi.
Yeah, everybody loves Geordi. Everybody loves LeVar Burton.
Everybody loves LeVar Burton.
The man himself is a cultural icon for people of all ages. So I don't think it's necessarily a matter of whether or not did he ever recover. He never lost face with me. I just thought we thought it was just like it was a little bit of a misstep. But so he didn't have to recover for me. So Geordi and will always be cool. And LeVar Burton, like you said, like LeVar Burton's that dog. That's the man. All right. Mm-hmm. Oh, what of our favorite Geordi episodes?
I mean, no real surprises there. It's the episode where he's trapped with the Romulan.
Oh yeah. Ooh, that's hard. That's hard, man. That might have been triggering for LeVar. I want to say that my favorite Geordi episode. Do I really have a? I don't honestly. To be fair, I don't know if I have a favorite Geordi episode. I have favorite like moments with Geordi. Like the one you pointed out with Scotty. I don't know if I really have a favorite Geordi episode. I think the ones where he is Watson to Data's Sherlock Holmes. I think those are kind of cool. I
hate those episodes. I actually hate those episodes.
Why?
I hate those episodes.
Why? You got something against Sherlock Holmes?
It's just like I feel like there's some other stuff that could have been happening while y'all were doing that.
Well, sure. I mean, they always could have been.
Right.
I remember having fun with those.
I actually like that Scotty episode too because Geordi's a jerk. Remember, Geordi's not very nice to Scotty.
It's not that he's not nice. It's that Scotty came in the midst of an emergency that they had to deal with, and Geordi had work to do.
Yeah, but I love that.
There's a good scene in there where Picard basically, like, Geordi's like, all right, well, I'll get somebody to go down there with him, and Picard's like, Geordi, listen, and you can see Geordi like you can't even see Geordi's eyes, but Geordi's like, oh, yes, Dad.
But I like crunchy Geordi. I like crunchy LaForge.
Yeah.
Like you said, I got stuff to do.
That's true.
You want me to babysit Grandpa?
Very true. Very true. All right. Just Genus says that his favorite Geordi episode is from season 1. How's that happen? On the weapon planet where their drones killed them off. Him taking control of the Enterprise was great. I'd have to watch that again. I'm sure there were good season 1 episodes, and if you say that was a good one, then okay. But I don't know.
Look.
I don't know.
That's the wonderful thing about Star Trek.
I remember Geordi looking sweaty all season 1. So I don't know. He always looks, him and the leather seats always look sweaty. So I don't know. Maybe it was good. I don't know. All right. We got to get out of here. It's already like 2:10, and I know they have to set up for the next show that's going to be coming as part of the IDIC Podcast Festival. So stick around, ladies and gentlemen, because the women at Warp have put together a fantastic podcast festival, Star Trek Aganza, for your listening and viewing pleasure, and they got some dope stuff coming. Shout out to them. Thank you so much for
thank you.
Part of this festival, and if the festival returns, we will gladly return if you will have us with more to talk about Star Trek, because we love having a whole hour to just trek out. Most definitely.
We could talk about Code of Honor here. We can talk about Code. We can always talk about Code of Honor.
There's always room for Code of Honor.
There's always room for Code of Honor talk.
Oh God! All right. I guess I should have been managing. Oh, all right. So we're going to get out of here. We're going to be out. So be good, everybody.